Who we want to hear from today is Anthony Schwartz, the Auburn wide receiver, fastest man in the draft. Really appreciate him giving us some of his time and jumping on the show. Anthony, welcome in, man. It's so good to have you with us. I know it's an incredibly busy time for you. First of all, how are you feeling about tomorrow? Are the nerves kind of kicking in? And what are your plans for the weekend? And where are you going to be watching the draft and waiting for your name to be called?
Yeah, first, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. It's an honor to be on here. And really, my thoughts for tomorrow, I'm just kind of ready to get it on, ready to see how I'm going to play my next 4 years and hopefully 5, 6, really 10 years on. So playing for it and just ready to go. And then my plan is really just to have something small Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday I was doing something at a restaurant just because hopefully I would be drafted, so it would be a celebration. But if not, it could still pretty much count as a draft party because I know I would get drafted that day, if not the first 2 days.
Yeah, hopefully it's in the first 2 days. Let's just say that. Hopefully you're celebrating before the restaurant.
Right. I don't want to have those nerves going on because I feel like is when literally anything can happen.
Got a question for you about the draft process, Anthony. Such an incredibly busy time. You hear rookies all the time talking about how you don't really get that off season and it's just continually working. How did you find that balance between working on your craft as a wide receiver and training for the pro day and the testing and the impact that has on your draft stock? Was that a bit of a challenge balancing those two things for you?
I would say it wasn't that much of a challenge, basically, mainly because we really kind of how we trained are like Mondays and Thursdays. Those were like our main speed linear days. And so we're focusing on 40 starts, 40 speed, just everything to do with the 40. And then Tuesdays and Fridays is when we're more worried about 5, 10, 5, L. And those same days we're doing position drills too. So kind of the 5, 10, 5, and the L kind of play into position drills because it still works on change of direction. And then it kind of just leads up into the position drills where they didn't really try to kill us that much because they know we're doing a lot. So we're kind of more slow playing and going through each motion and going through each route, going through footwork.
Yeah. So actually, I want to ask you. So how was dealing with like the whole COVID year? Like, there's obviously the uncertainty that the 2020 season would even be played. Obviously, there's a lot of players advocating to get that season played. So what was it like with that, playing with like smaller to no crowds and just preparing for the draft in this COVID world that we live in now?
Really, it was pretty tough that first kind of off season, just mainly because everything was closed down here. Like parks were closed, fields were closed, like everywhere was closed. You had to like hop fences to get on and you just couldn't get caught. And so it was kind of just weird, but also kind of excited at the same time, kind of get that little rush, like get the adrenaline pumping, even just like doing a normal workout. But that was fun to have. And then just going back to school in the summer, and then when they gave us the okay, we're playing, that's when we kind of flipped another switch on just to have everything ready, have everything going. And then playing in the games, the good thing about playing the SEC is that even though it's probably only a fraction of the amount of crowds, they still get loud, still get riled up. So you felt a little difference, but it didn't really feel as much of a difference as like a scrimmage where there's literally no one in the stadium. Like it still felt pretty good, and it was just amazing to be able to play, especially with everything that was going on.
That's really cool, Anthony. And obviously everybody knows that you played, your college ball at Auburn. Some might not know you're a Florida guy growing up, and you played your high school at American Heritage, who's now a powerhouse. Can you tell us a little bit about the coach you had there and also some of your teammates that a lot of the listeners will be pretty well acquainted with?
Yes, sir. So my first years at Heritage, my coach was Mike Rumpf, who played for the 2001 Hurricanes, went to the first round in the NFL draft. And then the last 2 years, my high school coach was Pat Surtain, who, of course, Miami Dolphins corner, Pro Bowl corner. And, of course, I went with his son went to the same school too, Pat Surtain Jr., and other guys that are in the draft as well, like Tyson Campbell, Marco Wilson, Khalil Herbert, Nick Eubanks, TJ Slayton. There's a lot of guys there and a lot of guys that we were able to kind of battle, iron sharpens iron. So it was just every day in practice, it was a battle. And it was just great to have those guys there because they're also cool guys off the field as well. And I'm still close with pretty much all of them now. And so it's great to have also great to have people going through the same process as me. And it kind of feels great to kind of set the foundation for that school. So now it's a perennial powerhouse. Like you're getting like 15, 20 kids each year going off to college, going off Division I, doesn't matter, Division I, Division II. they're just going out to college and being able to kind of build on this foundation. It's amazing to see.
It's crazy that you mentioned 3 cornerbacks, Pat Surtain, Tyson Campbell, and Marco Wilson. Going against those 3 guys every day in practice must have been so much fun. And just how, like you said, iron sharpens iron. I couldn't imagine what those practices were like. It had to be a lot of fun to go through. But going to your game, I mean, obviously, like it's in your Twitter name, Flash. Like everyone knows you're fast. You can run a sub 4.340. But we want to know, like, what else can you bring to the table? Like, what else is there to Anthony Schwartz on the field? And what's one thing that you think you need to work on?
So I'm a guy, I feel like I bring a lot to the table. Like, of course, there's my speed. I'm able to take the top off the defense. I'm able to use it in many different ways. But I also feel like I'm very tall as well. I can be moved from inside, from the slot to outside to the boundary. Just kind of line up wherever to get the best matchup. And I feel like I'm a guy, too, that I can run routes. I can break people off. I can catch the ball well and run after catch. And a guy that I also feel like I'm very tough as well. And I would say the one thing that I would say I need to work on is just being more consistent in my routes, just staying more in control, which I've been working on a ton. And I feel like I have it down. I feel like I can still get better at it, but I feel like I have it down now. And that's really what I bring. I'm like a Swiss Army knife kind of.
Anthony, we're obviously Jets fans over here, and I know on uStadium on Timeout with Nick and Frank and Bree last week, you talked about how they'd been in touch with you a couple of times. I don't want to press you for too much information there, but I'm intrigued. How do you think you fit into this offense? An offense that's really based around crossing motion, jet sweeps, things like that. Do you think that's a good fit for your game, whether it's from the inside on the slot or on the outside? Does that skill set go pretty well hand in hand with what you just mentioned then and the all-around game that you play?
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much fits the Jets offense perfectly because a lot of motion, a lot of jet sweeps is something that I have a lot of experience in college, of course. And then just being able in the crossing route offense, kind of when you have those speed guys, you want to get them across the field as fast as they can because no one's going to keep up with them. That's something that I would enjoy being a part of, especially when they have 2 big receivers outside. You want to have that speed guy in the slot that can move anywhere and get the best matchup inside to not only take some pressure off the other 2 guys, but also a guy that's a real weapon on the field every time he's on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. No, that's great to hear. So I want to ask you one question. You can't name those 3 cornerbacks that I mentioned earlier. You can't name your high school teammates. Who was the toughest matchup in college? And who's the first cornerback you want to beat one-on-one for your touchdown, for your first career touchdown?
Shoot, I would say the toughest corner that I faced, it's probably a 3-way tie because, of course, there's J.C. Horn, which I didn't go against because he didn't really go against me when we played them. But just watching them play, he probably would have been the toughest one out of all of them. Mm-hmm. And then there was Eric Stokes as well, who was a very great corner, another fast guy, fast, handsy. He was able to kind of keep up with me. And then there was Kelvin Joseph too from Kentucky. He was pretty big, kind of a little physical, and he was a guy that was able to kind of like. He just kind of was good at the game. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was trying to do.
And who's the one cornerback you want to beat for your first touchdown? One-on-one.
I know you said not to. I'm gonna say I want to see one of my high school teammates. Nothing against them because I love them boys, but it'll just be fun. It'll be something fun to do.
Yeah, a lot of fun in games. You get bragging rights. That's awesome.
I love it. All right, so Anthony, New York. I've got a big question for you here. I know the other day you said you're not a big cheese guy. So if you're playing and living in New York and, it's the pizza capital of the world, does that mean pizza's off the table for you too if you're not a cheese guy?
I'll say one thing is I don't like cheese, but pizza, I love pizza. I love pizza. Right. I went to New York one time. I think it was somewhere near Times Square, but it was Pizza by the Slice, one of the best pizza I've ever had. So being in New York, they might have put me on a diet because I might be eating pizza almost every day.
I love it. Okay, there's a lot of happy Jets fans.
Like I'm from New Jersey, so I grew up with that pizza. I loved it, and now I'm living down in Orlando. So it's kind of tough to adjust to this pizza down here. It's not quite the same. So if you're getting drafted by the Jets, you're gonna have so much fun with that pizza. Like I would have it literally every single day. But all right, so we have one video that I want to show you. Just want to get your reaction because I'm a big Gator fan. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you saw the tweet that I tagged you in, but I'm a big Gator fan. Obviously, you guys played them in 2019. There's one play that I want to get your opinion on and your reaction if Splash has it ready for us. So this is at the very end of the first quarter.
I think I remember this one. Yeah.
What was your reaction?
We were all getting hyped, ready to run on the sideline, and then we just see him stumble. We're like, oh no! That was a big game. It was a big, especially in that fourth quarter. They scored on their first play and off.
Yep.
And so by then it was kind of more back and forth, kind of 3-and-out. That he takes that extra touchdown. We're talking about probably the game would have ended up differently than it ended up at the end of the day, but it was just obscene of man, 6'5", 300, I think, over 300 pounds. And it's not like he wasn't moving. Like, he's moving out there. And he's probably never ran that fast ever, so that might be why he stumbled. But that's one play in that game that I wish we had back.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I was with a few buddies of mine, and I'm just seeing him run closer and closer to the end. So I'm like, oh, no, like, what's happening? And then he just gets sniped out of nowhere and just falls. But and I think the Gators ended up stopping you guys on that ensuing possession.
I think we had a field goal, but I don't think we made it. I think we missed it.
Yeah, it was a really good game. And actually, like on that, what was it like after the game? Like, or maybe not like immediately after, because obviously you guys lost, so I'm sure you guys weren't going like making fun of them or anything. But what about like your next team meeting? Was there a video? Did Gus Malzahn put that on the big screen for all you guys to see and just kind of have a nice laugh at?
Yeah, we put on the big screen, just kind of like, so someone made an edit like of I don't know if it was an American Sniper edit, but it was a sniper edit. And so he had him, then it cuts to the sniper, and you hear the shot, and next thing you just so we had some fun with that. Like, of course, we were still mad at the game, but like a couple of days later, kind of make that switch to the next week, and by that point, we were all just laughing back at it.
That's great. No, I knew we were having you on as a Gator fan. I had to just bring that up and see your reaction on your side of the sideline.
Anthony, look, we really appreciate you coming on, man. As I said at the top, it's a full-on couple of days for you. Clay, myself, and all of Jets Nation, we're rooting for you. Thanks so much for coming on and supporting our show, uStadium, Nick, and all the guys. Good luck over the next couple of days. I'm sure you're going to be called on day 2, and hopefully it's by the Jets. But thanks very much, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, and hopefully I can be a Jet.